So the vacuum selector switch, this thing, disintegrated on my 75 C10. So we are going to replace this whole unit with a later model HVAC unit. Now this came out of an 83 to 87 C10 truck. This is 75, and I think this is only for the 74 and 75s, maybe the 73s. They have this 14 pin or 14 port vacuum selector switch. This is unobtainium, as we discovered. And we can't just swap on a 9-pin because, one, those are impossible to find, and two, it's more than that. So that's why we're going to swap in a later model 8387 one. So pick this one up of eBay. It's actually in really good shape. So the difference here is this one has a max, and my understanding is if you have max on yours, you have a newer style HVAC unit. So this is our vacuum switch, and way different than this, but wires are basically the same. Now luckily GM did not change their wiring for any of their HVAC cars basically for nearly 20 years, between the early 70s to the late 80s, almost early 90s. So it's all basically the same. We have a 4-pin blower fan switch, and then a 3-pin for the vent selector switch. If we look on the newer one, again, 4-pin for the blower fan, 3-pin for the vent selector. So wiring is essentially the same. The way the fan works is one of these is a low speed, one's slightly medium, one's medium 2, and one is high. Same here. They all go through different resistors except for the high one. Now, the vent selector, we again have 3 wires. You actually see 4, but 2 of them are in the same port, and one of them is actually tying into or splicing into here. It's the key on battery voltage power. So wiring is essentially the same. We don't have much to worry about for that. My only question so far is what to do with the vacuum lines on here, because I believe there's a different number of vacuum lines here than there were on the old one. So we'll have to figure that out, but we'll get there when we get there. And then I got to figure out how to do this cable for the blend door for the heater. I don't know how that works, but we'll figure it out. So let's start figuring out what wires do what. We're going to look at the new one first, and I'm not going to trust a wiring diagram to have accurate colors. So we know one's off, medium 1, medium 2, high. We're not going to be able to figure out which ones are which, but we're going to be able to figure out which one is off. And I'll show you how. So I'm going to take my multimeter, put it on continuity mode. We have it in the, let's start with the high. Let's work down. So high. So I'm going to just pin one of these, and we're going to look for continuity. The way it's going to work is it's going to send, one of these wires is going to have battery voltage with key on all the time. And whenever you select to whatever switch, it's going to route that power in and come out another wire. So 2 of these wires will have voltage basically. So by checking for continuity, we can check, does this one have continuity? Does this one? That one does. Hear that? That one doesn't. This one does. Okay, so for high, we have, let's call it B and D, our continuity. So I'm going to write that down, switch it to medium 2. Okay, so now C and D have continuity. Write that down. Switch to medium 1. Make sure we still have connection. There we go. So A and D have continuity for medium 1. And now, if we switch to off, we should have no continuity in any of the wires. Right. So that means our battery positive trigger wire, the ignition wire, is this brown and white one right here. So basically that's it. That's it for the blower motor. Now we just need to figure out which the trigger wire on the factory 75 wiring. With the resistor unplugged, there's 4 pins. Basically, one's the low, medium 1, medium 2, and then one of these is the output wire, which feeds to this relay, which then determines whether to use one of these resistor ones or to just use the high-speed relay. So just by looking at this, I see a common color between this one and the relay here, and it's this dark blue color. So that dark blue is the output of the resistor that feeds to here, and then there's 2 thick wires, red and purple. One is like the battery voltage, and one is the output trigger that goes to the blower fan. And again, by looking at it, the purple wire is the one that goes to the blower fan. It goes to a little resistor thing here, and then into the fan itself. So we know this blue, dark blue is our output. These 3 wires, yellow, blue, green, light green. So let's take a look back in on the blower fan wiring. We should see these 3 wires. Okay, now what I've done is set up my power probe. Just gonna see. Yeah, I think these will all show ground, except for the ones that go through the resistor, or the one that's gonna get our key on voltage. Okay, so let's go key on. We have everything hooked up, so blower fan is spinning, everything's still working as it should. Let's check. Alright, so now key on. These are not being used, they're not grounded because of the blower relay. This one's showing ground, but that's probably because it's not doing anything. This is our key on. So if I switch this, what happens? You know, if I give this power, do we automatically jump up to... We do. That's max. So orange is definitely our high speed. This is our, I'm guessing, our low. Let's do one of these. Let's try the blue one. That's the easiest to get to. There's a different speed. Now this green, is this a higher speed? Nope, that's slightly lower. So we just found out green is medium 1, blue, light blue is medium 2, orange is the high, and brown is just our low speed. A lot easier doing that than tracing the wiring. So I'm writing things down on my phone, hopefully you can read it. But this is our wiring for the current blower motor fan switch. So we got our low, medium 1, medium 2, high. Right? And we already figured out which wires do which. We know which one is the high one. If we take a look back at our wiring here. So this is kind of how I wrote it. So 1 would be our off. 2 is the medium 1, 3 is medium 2, and 4 is high. So based off of the numbers here, the pins, B is our high. We can see D is the low one because it's the one that's always constant. That's just the way that these fans are set up. So we have everything we need to wire up our fan switch. So I've been trying to get the fan working, hooked up to this with my connectors, but I forgot an important step. The fan doesn't turn on until you move this into any position besides off. So right now I just put it in normal. It doesn't really matter. What I'm doing, what I'm simulating now is plugging into the battery or the key on voltage, putting it into our 3-pin here, the one that has 2 in it. And when you have it in normal, all 3 of these are a go. They're all shooting voltage out. So 1 comes in and then 3 voltage come out. So we got to complete the circuit. 3 goes to here, or I guess that was 1. So now we have voltage in, voltage out. And now these 3 wires are live once I turn the key on. And I just connected our high switch. So we got our low signal here, and then the high signal was that orange one. Connected there. Turn the key on, we should have high fan. And we do. So everything is working. I have the wire diagram figured out. Let's wire it up, and then we got to worry about the vents. Okay, got it all wired up. Now, if you want the exact wiring that I went with, I'm gonna have a picture or something in the description, so you can just follow that along if you'd like. So, turn the key in the on position. We still have fan. Let's give it some vent. So we're gonna go normal, okay? I'm gonna click it to on, medium 2, and high. Awesome. Off. Naturally, I can hear the AC compressor clutch kicking on when I click this max one. If you hear that, that's the AC clutch clicking on. So if I go to vent or heat, I should hear the clutch disengage. Disengaged. Heat, nothing. Defrost, it should engage. It does. Disengaged. Awesome. So this is working exactly as intended now. Okay, got them all heat shrinked in. These are the crimp / heat shrink style. And I'm just going to tape them up just to secure them as an extra precaution, even though it's not necessary. Now for removing the heat cable for the blend door. I think this kind of clip thing we just need to remove. I don't have pliers with me right now, so let's see if this will work. And I already undid the bolt. I'm going to keep my thumb here just in case it wants to spring up, but I don't think it will. This thing is kind of like a speed nut. That's kind of what it's acting like. We might need to push the tabs though. But let's see. There we go. I got it. Got it with the wrong tool. And now it should just pop out. Yeah, slides out. There we go. Okay. This might be a two-hand thing. Oh, there we go. Got it. Okay. So now this will pop right on out. There we go. So that's the old one. Will the new one line right up without any modification? Looking at our cables, one's definitely shorter than the other. Oh, but you know what? If I do that, pull that. No, I think it's gonna work. Now it's just a matter of lining this up in the right orientation. So there is a difference. This is all the way cold, and it's not the same length. Actually, quite a distance. But can we transfer this? Does this come out? So I pieced together a bracket solution here. I got the red clip off of the cable that came with this new one, and I filed a hole or a slot in it, so that way it can hook onto the cable, and then it just presses down into here. So let me get that all situated. First we put our cable in, right, and then I take the hook and I just line it up. And then I can press it in place, and it's not coming out. But we'll still put the clip on just for extra safety. So now the next step is I've made a little bracket out of, I don't know, this is a shim for, I believe, a 4th gen Camaro that I just had lying around. And so now we just need to bolt it in. I drilled the holes out, so we're going to put a bolt here. We're going to reuse the screw from the factory head unit that I had on here, and just get it tightened a little bit. It's a 1/4 inch. Okay, that'll be good enough for now. And now we just line up our bracket. So right about there, my holes line up. So I'm going to take, I'm going to go with a bolt and a nut. I'm going to actually do it from the top bottom. That way it has the least chance of coming out ever. It's going to be a little tricky to line the holes up though, because I did not make them too big. And the vacuum stuff's just getting in my way. There we go. Now I'm just going to take a nut, put it on the back side. And once I tighten that, I mean, that's never coming apart. There we go. So let's test it. Go to hot. It extends. It flexes a little. It doesn't want to go all the way. But now we go back to cold. Does it fully return? That seemed like it did. Let me tighten it down fully. Maybe that's giving me some added unwanted flex. So looking at the vacuum lines now, hard to tell, but there's only 5 that actually go into the harness. So 1 is the source from the engine, 4 go to different actuators and stuff that control where the airflow goes. And there's only 5 coming out of the new one for actual, because one's the source. So this shouldn't be too hard. Now it's just a matter of getting it in the right spots. So this is going to take a little bit to figure out where the right spots are, but this seems doable. So I cut off the old vacuum connections here. These are all just 1/8" hard vacuum line. It's not really hard, but it's not soft as rubber. And here we can see my connection. So I just picked up some rubber line and put it over. I messed up on this one. Had to put a bigger one on the outside and then a fitting to, or a connection to the same diameter, whatever this diameter is. And this worked. So if you are in this situation, you need to repair these dash vacuum HVAC lines, run to your parts store. Look at what lines fit. Basically, that was it. So now let's set everything back up and see how it works. And I took a guesstimate on what colors vacuum lines go to which. So I'll have the final connection in the description, just like the wiring. So look there. Okay, so let's make sure everything works, especially this. So I'm noticing it's kind of difficult to get it all the way to hot. It doesn't want to go all the way to hot. That's about as much as it wants to go. So something's a little off in my bracketry, but we are returning all the way back to cold. Oh, that's actually all the way hot there. Maybe I'll double check, make sure we're not open and all the way cold like we should be. That would be a bummer. So, but otherwise, key on. All right, let's switch to some AC flow or fan flow. Yep. Okay, got the truck running. Let's get some AC. So I heard the compressor kick on. Engine's running differently because compressor, the clutch is engaged. Ooh, I'm feeling cold AC. It's coming out of the main vent here, which is good. Oh, we don't have any there because I don't have the thing hooked up, the tube. Yeah, I'm feeling cold air. Let's switch to hot, make sure. I'm hearing something like yelling. We are getting cold AC. We'll let the truck warm up and then we can see if the heater actually works. Okay, it's been running for some time now. AC, everything is kicking on just like we want. It's actually cool in here. That is amazing news. The heat works, but like I said, if I switch it to heat right now and then I move this to hot, it stops. So there's, my bracketry is not perfect. It doesn't go all the way to the end. That means when it gets to cold, it's not all the way cold, most likely. Unless the bracket is kind of forcing it all the way cold. But I mean, when I had it on AC right there, it felt good. So I think this is a success. Now, I didn't even check if this is gonna line up and look good in the dash. I just wanted to function. So if it doesn't, if you can see a little trims, because it's slightly smaller than the 75 one, oh well, at least it works. I did wire up the light. As you can see, it's glowing a little bit. So that works, and it works on a dimmer. So yeah, everything is functioning as we want. It doesn't really kick into heat. As you see, the temperature gauge is kind of climbing. But if I rev it a couple times and rev it real good, it will start heating up. So the next thing I was going to replace on this truck is the heater core anyways. That's probably going to solve it. There's probably a blockage, and I know the heater core leaks. So I'm just going to kick it up to that. But AC, nice and cold. I do have to tighten the AC belt, but hey, it feels good in here. That is the best thing. So we swapped in a 83 to 87 HVAC head unit, and it worked. Luckily, the wiring is basically the same for almost 20 years of these, actually all GM cars. It was like the Camaros too. So that is great news. We got it all working, and the vent vacuum switch works as well. There was 5 colors. 4 of them were the exact same that I matched up. The 5th one I guessed. Just, it was a educated guess, but it worked. So I'm gonna have all the wiring, all the vacuum stuff in the description, so you'll get to see what goes to what if you're gonna do this yourself. And overall, wasn't that bad, and it works, which is the best thing. So that means in a few weeks, Hot Rod Power Tour 2024, I'm gonna have AC in this truck. That's right, we're going on a Hot Rod Power Tour this year. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.